Each class, we will look at 2 to 3 of the companions with similar backgrounds and similar life lessons for us. We will focus on one main companion and briefly mention the other ones with similar backgrounds. This week, we will look at companions who were rich, noble, and wealthy, but gave up and sacrificed their wealth for the deen and preferred their religion over all the luxuries and comforts of this world. He wore the most expensive clothes and the most stylish shoes of his time. Most handsome, best dressed, and most spoiled young man. When he heard about Islam, he went to Prophet ﷺ, heard the Quran, and accepted Islam in the first meeting. His mother had Musab taken to a far corner of the house. There he was firmly bound and tethered. He had become a prisoner in his own home. He managed to escape and migrated with the first group of Muslims that went to Abyssinia. When he returned from Abyssinia to Mecca again, his mother made a last attempt to gain control of him and threatened to have him tied up again and confined. She threw him out of her house and cut him off from all the material comforts she used to lavish on him. Prophet ﷺ chose Musab to be his ambassador to Medina. In one meeting, Usaid shouted abuse and threatened Musab. Musab smiled a warm and friendly smile and said to Usaid, "Won't you sit down and listen? If you are pleased and satisfied with your mission, accept it, and if you dislike it, we would stop telling you what you dislike and leave." When he heard verses of Quran, Usaid said, "How beautiful are these words, and how true." Hanbah related that they could not find any cloth with which to shroud Musab's body, except his own garment. When they covered his head with it, his legs showed, and when his legs were covered, his head was exposed. And the Prophet instructed, "Place the garment over his head, and cover his feet." Prophet ﷺ remembered Musab as he first saw him in Mecca, stylish and elegant, and then looked at the short burda, which was now the only garment he possessed, and he recited the verse of the Quran. Among the believers are men who have been true to what they have pledged to God. The Prophet then cast his tender eyes over the battlefield on which lay the dead companions of Musab and said, "The Messenger of God testifies that you are martyrs in the sight of God on the day of Qiyamah." When the Prophet gave permission for his followers to migrate to Medina, Suhayb resolved to go in the company of the Prophet and Abu Bakr. The Quraysh, however, found out about his intentions and foiled his plans. They placed guards over him to prevent him from leaving and taking with him the wealth, the gold, and the silver which he had acquired through trade. He managed to escape, and when they caught him while escaping, he offered to them, "What would you say if I leave you my wealth?" interrupted Suhayb. "Would you get out of my way?" "Yes," they agreed. Suhayb described the place in his house in Mecca where he had left the money, and they allowed him to go. The Prophet saw him approaching. He was overjoyed and greeted Suhayb with beaming smiles. Your transaction has been fruitful, O Abu Yahya. Your transaction has been fruitful. He repeated this 3 times. Suhayb's face beamed with happiness as he said, By God, no one has come before me to you, Messenger of God, and only Jibreel could have told you about this. Prophet ﷺ recited, And there is a type of man who gives his life to earn the pleasure of God, and God is full of kindness to his servants. Uthman radiallahu anhu was persecuted and tortured for the sake of Allah at the hands of his paternal uncle Al-Hakam, who caught him and tied him up and said, Will you turn away from the religion of your forefathers for a new religion? I will not let you go until you give up this religion. Uthman said, By Allah, I will never give it up or leave it.